Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Today is June 17th, and this is another of our bi-weekly SIG CLI meetings. My name is Maciej, and I'll be your host today. And I think we have agenda pretty packed with a lot of discussions, at least for the second topic. But before we move to that one, two announcements. There's a blocker bug call next Wednesday at the exact same time, exact same number. So if you're interested in contributing to SIG CLI, this is definitely a good place to start. We will be shuffling bugs, we'll be going through PRs. If you want to have your PRs reviewed, that is also a good place to have those reviews. Another important news for 1.19 release is the date has changed further along. The new code freeze date is July 9th, and I linked in the agenda to all of the dates, but I'm guessing the majority of you are interested in when the code freeze is. This gives about 2 or 3 additional weeks between the original code freeze date and the current one. Sean, do you have any other additional announcements that you want to add?
No, I didn't have anything. Thanks for asking.
Okay, cool. So with that, I think we can move to the main topics. And first of all, Alex, with regards to last rounds of comments for customized components, Cap, take it away, Alex.
Hi, everyone. Actually, my colleague is here, Ioannis, as well.
Hey there.
Hi, Kido. Ioannis, want to take it from here?
Yeah.
What we want to discuss?
So hi, I'm Ioannis. I've worked closely with Alex and Paul regarding the feature we recently merged in customized components. For today's agenda, we would like to have an update regarding the Kubernetes enhancement proposal that we have submitted. From what I've seen, it has been reviewed. We did some minor changes that were needed. And if I recall correctly, we had set like a wait for about a week so that the community could see this kept more closely and possibly raise any issues with it. So at the moment, we would like to ask if there is anything pending, either from your or our side, in order to merge this. Maybe Philip, I don't know if he's in the call, might know more on this.
I think Jeff will be the best person to address
okay,
this
yeah,
one.
Jeff.
If I remember, correctly,
so I've
Phil
already
was out for PTO currently.
Is my mic working?
Yep.
Oh, great.
Yep.
So it looks good to me. I don't actually have the ability to approve caps in this particular repo, but I'm excited to see the work get going and looking forward to seeing the implementation.
If that's the case, Jeff, can you just leave your approval over there, and I'll have a look at the cap right after the call, and I can, or Sean, both of us can approve.
Will do.
Cap. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Regarding the implementation that you just mentioned, Jeff, I think the PR that implements this feature is already opened and merged in the customized master. Am I right?
Right. Yep.
Okay. Can we push into any direction regarding the cap, or shall we just wait for someone to take over from here? I guess there's not much to do from our side at the moment, right?
No, I'm pulling up the enhancement now, and I'm just gonna LGTM it if I haven't already, and that will get merged.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing is to put out a new release of Customize at the end of this week, so Friday. If you have any changes you'd like to make before then, go ahead and send some PRs out. I notice is this Alex speaking? You also have a proof of concept for the running of the kept style config functions, which is interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, nothing remains to be done except whatever you might want to get in, any PRs you'd like to get in before Friday. And we're trying to release on a weekly basis or at least bi-weekly. So if it doesn't get in this week, it'll get in next week.
Okay.
Okay, so we're talking about the 3.7 release of Customize.
That would be 3.7. Yeah, the API. This is just a new feature, so we're not changing anything that's not backward incompatible, right? So it'd be 3.7.
Okay. And do you have any idea when the kubectl integration is going to happen? How much work is there in this front?
Could you repeat that, please?
Do you have any idea when regarding the kubectl integration, the kubectl integration?
Oh, no, sorry, that's taking longer than expected. So, I mean, I don't know how long it was expected to take, but it's taking a while.
Okay, no
It's
worries.
possible it could get done by the code freeze that Machi just mentioned. I don't know, but Customize will still be available as a freestanding CLI,
Okay,
regardless.
cool.
So
Oh,
certainly
okay.
before, if I can't do it, then maybe somebody else can take up the work. I've had a lot of other things that come up lately. But yeah, I'm working on refactoring it to get rid of the API machinery stuff so that we can reintegrate it into kubectl. That's a separate issue, right? That's separate from this particular enhancement, can go forward anyway.
Okay, the reason we ask about the kubectl integration is because we have been using extensively both Kustomize and kubectl for both development and production deployments. So we would really like to work with like vanilla kubectl and have this feature out of the box. So for now, I guess we have to fall back to just to Kustomize build pipe kubectl apply, right?
That's right. Use kubectl
All right.
apply and Customize as a freestanding CLI.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, it is a little bit unfortunate that we cannot bump the Customize living within kubectl. There are other issues with regards to how Kubernetes is being built. Other issues with regards how fast we can move out the kubectl to its own repo. So honestly, these are the two major blocking. One is blocking the other in one way or the other, so we need to work around it. And Jeff is diligently working on helping with the customized bits, and Sean and I are working on trying to push the kubectl split further. But
is there like a large estimate on either one of those, like just like a swag, like quarters or like 4 quarters or something like that?
for kubectl, it's more of a number of commands rather than number of weeks or months. So the number is pretty low because it's mostly 1 or 2 commands. But the problem is that they are touching functionality which is being shared across the entire Kubernetes. That's the RBAC utilities. I spoke with SIG auth, Jordan separately, and yeah, we just need to find the time and push this over the hump.
Yeah, it's
not sure
it's
about
just,
119. Yeah, I'm not sure about 119, but I have high hope for 120. So it's yeah, there are bigger chances for 120 than 119.
Yeah, it's just one command actually that the one that Mache is mentioning, the auth reconcile using RBAC. The convert we actually deprecated back in announced deprecation back in 113, so we can take out convert whenever we want, basically. We haven't done it just because we have this other command blocking it. So that's basically all that's remaining.
It's actually might be worth taking out convert now.
Okay.
And the reason for that is that then we will release it without convert while still being able to like add it back in if it was like really important or something.
Okay.
Or like there's still it gives us more flexibility, right? I guess is the thing.
We won't be able to add convert in any way back. And the reason for that is that convert relies on the internal APIs. So whatever we will do, if basically the plan was and still is that we will keep convert as part of the Kubernetes repository, but it will be built as a plugin to kubectl. So if you want to have convert functionality, you'll have to get it from the main Kubernetes repo rather than as a built-in command for kubectl.
No, I guess I meant. Yeah, no, I get all that. I guess I just meant
doing it right away rather than waiting.
Yeah, like
honestly,
why wait, right?
Okay, I think that's a fair judgment, given that we've given the appropriate amount of time with regards to informing people that convert is going away. I think it's definitely worthy to do the switch almost
Is it
immediately. That shouldn't be a big problem.
Yeah, it has the deprecation warning when you run it, I imagine, and it's the other thing we could do is just make it hidden if it isn't already.
If you deprecate, the Cobra automatically hides the command from literally everywhere, from help, from suggestions, and everywhere else.
Okay,
so
cool. Then it should be good.
Yeah, you have to directly invoke it to get the deprecation warning, but it doesn't live there in any helpers or information. Okay, I think that's all for this topic. And the other hot topic that everyone are talking about since 119 basically is the managed fields. Sean, you want to walk us through the issue?
Sure. So managed fields. So let me just say a couple things, and then actually, if Antoine's here, he's the expert. So managed fields is a new part that is being printed now that server-side apply is on by default. So if you have a look now at a resource that was applied with a recent kube control, you get very, very verbose output. And of course, everyone has their opinions on this. And so the question is that has been put to us is, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to turn this off by default, or give us some flags to turn it off? So actually, if Antoine's here, do you want to pipe in?
Yeah, I don't have much to add. It's just to give more details and context. It's sort of replacing the last applied annotation, but anybody who touches the object is going to have its own. So it is more verbose than the last applied annotation. Also, the way we print it is it takes more space on the screen because it's one thing per line instead of being this condensed JSON that we have for the last applied annotation. People seem frustrated with seeing that much. We believe it's useful because it has important information and it's associated with the object. We also believe that kubectl should print the object the way it's saved by the API server in general. And that's about it. So we would rather not change the default of showing it. But we are completely open to having an option to hide it. And I mean, we're open to pretty much anything because we want people to be happy.
So I must admit that I was pointed to this issue just recently after I opened a change to the kubectl edit. Because as long as, and I agree with what Daniel and Antoine mentioned in the thread, for kubectl get, where you explicitly ask for YAML or JSON of the resource, we should put a complete dump of the resource as it exists on the server. So there's no talking about, by default at least, there's no talking about removing those fields from there. I really like, I think Trin-Gwen, Daniel, and a couple other folks mentioned the ability to exclude keys, something along grep-v. That could be a very reasonable approach, but that would have to be an explicit ask from a user not to show these fields. That's one thing.
And that's a little tedious. Like if you have to specify a regex or a JSON path or whatever, or some form of excluding, that seems very tedious for the users.
True, that's true. Well, theoretically, you could exclude them through either using some kind of a JQ or YQ query. I'm not sure if they support negation, but maybe I might be missing something. Yeah, so that part is still open to discussion. Whereas for edit, describe, I'm pretty confident that people would be okay with having the managed fields completely hidden in describe. And honestly, I would not expect describe to show the managed fields because describe is very very specific. We only print a set of fields where we have them hard coded. So I would not expect managed field to show up there. For edit, it's a little bit harder because as edit gives you the YAML of the resource you're trying to edit. So I kind of open a PR where we are removing the managed fields and we are not showing them in the edit. Because I think in case of an edit, we don't want to see them. Most probably, I'm open to suggestions where this would be an optional flag for edit and not a default, or in the other direction where we would have a fallback to get the entire resource as it exists on the server. So you would have to opt in to seeing the managed fields and maybe some others in the future. We can definitely create a reusable mechanism, and then we will be considering case by case where we want to apply it.
Yeah, so my counter argument for the edit is that I think I've seen suggestions in the past to say, do a kubectl edit and change the last applied annotation if you have a problem. And yeah, that's unfortunate, I know. But I'm afraid we may end up in the same situation But again, in this case, maybe people could specify an option if they need to edit this specifically. Yes, but I think we need an option because it's possible that people would have to change it. The best way to change it is probably to do an edit. So there should definitely be an option.
There's also the other option. When I was putting together this PR, I started wondering whether our kubectl edit should switch to the server-side apply instead. Currently, kubectl edit calculates the patch on their own and sends only a patch, which ends up not being reflected properly in the managed fields. If we would be using the server-side apply, the modification coming through kubectl edit would be properly reflected in the resource history. So I think that's a separate topic.
So first of all, we can do a server-side apply from the entire object because we wouldn't know what fields you care about and what field you don't care about. When you do an edit, you have the full object, and we don't want you to own all the objects, all the fields in the object. And second of all, we've considered the case where somebody is doing an edit and changing an object, and then you apply and try to change back this field, you're going to end up with a conflict. And this is a use case we've seen where maybe SREs are like trying to edit the object, fix something, and later you're trying to apply, and this is going to stomp the change and break the thing again. So we want a conflict in this case. I think it's working as intended.
Okay. Okay. I wasn't aware of that discussion, so that definitely makes sense. So I guess the only question is how people want to see exclusion for get, because we haven't had any reasonable outcome of that discussion, and whether people are okay with kubectl edit hiding them by default and maybe having an opt-in to show the managed fields if one desires.
Sounds good. I'll summarize that in the issue.
Okay. I actually wrote that I will do that myself, but sure, I'm definitely happy that someone else will do. I guess then for the yum and JSON for the get, we will leave it as is for now at least. I'll try to come up with, maybe there's a smart way of excluding them through JSON path somehow. But I've noticed that a lot of people came up already with their own options for removing them. There are a couple kubectl plugins that does just that. And since I've noticed that people were complaining about export being removed, this use case is another support for that. Is why we removed the export, because there will be use cases where you do want to see the managed fields in your export, and there will be other cases where you don't. And an export is usually very subjective to your particular use case. That's why having the global export was not that much helpful. Does anyone else have any suggestions or comments with regards to the managed fields? Aside from saying that they're pretty cool and they suck when being printed, because I hope we pretty much all are aware of this.
Actually, I was wondering, is there a BNF or a schema spec somewhere for the managed fields?
Antoine?
No, I didn't get that.
Can you
Is there
repeat?
some sort of schema specification for the shape of managed fields?
I can look it up. I think we have something, but I need to look it up.
Okay, thank you.
I think explain should kubectl explain should give you the information about the field from the open API. Let me quickly check.
Yes, it must have the description of the field. I think I remember seeing it.
Yeah, it will be since, yeah, it is. So since this is part of the usual API, it is pretty well documented. It's part of the metadata. Meta 1 object meta. So if you do kubectl explain, for example, deploy that metadata.managed fields, you'll get full information about how the resource looks like.
Nice.
Whether it's there, or just, dive into any resource and peek into what lives under meta v1 object meta.
Great, thank you.
I think it's object meta, not type meta, but I might be wrong. One of the two. Does anyone have any other questions, concerns with regards to the managed fields? Okay. Does anyone else have any other topics that I want to bring up before we move to the send-ups? Okay, hearing none. I see Kui is on the list for stand-ups. So go ahead, Nick.
Okay, yeah, just very quickly, we released a new version. We've been working for a while now on trying to think how we can do a better job in helping the user understand the ongoing sort of status of all the resources they have in their cluster. So I have a little screenshot in the Google Doc. So release now, there's a Jiffy also on the release notes for the GitHub. The idea there is that when you do kubectl get-w, instead of getting a plain table, you'll now get a little sort of heat map of the resources that you specified, whether it's by label selector or by resource kind, whatever it is. You can always revert it to a table if you want, but then that table will be live, the cells will change colors as the resource statuses change. So we threw that out there. We've been doing some internal testing, but we wanted to get some external feedback, so we threw it out there and see what people think. So that's the biggest change. We also had an interesting contribution from just a random user who decided that he wanted to have homebrew-based installation. So on his own, he went off and did that. So that's good. I didn't ask for it, but we got it. So that's also now available. So now you can say brew install GUI. So those are the two main things I just wanted to report about. In general, if you guys have any sort of insights into how we can improve the kind of situational awareness of users with respect to their cluster, this kind of watch bean ID was sort of our first sort of stab in that direction. But in general, if you guys have any thoughts about situational awareness generally, about how we can know sort of in a large scope, 50,000 foot kind of perspective, what's going on, whether they're events or resource status, just let us know.
I had one suggestion. So I was running, I picked up Kui as a plugin to kubectl, and it's a little bit cumbersome that I need to write kubectl git pause or whatever. And it's long, obviously. So locally, I have an alias for kubectl to be Casey because it's faster. Unfortunately, within Kui, that alias does not work, which forces me to use the long name. Like I need to type fully kubectl. Yeah. I started wondering whether, when I'm inside of Kui, whether I would want to type just internal kubectl commands, as in just get pods, get whatever, and just the commands without the kubectl prefix, or I would want to have the alias being supported.
Yep.
So maybe
one data point there, if you don't mind me chiming in, is I know Amit has aliases for not just kube control, but like all the subcommands and such.
Yeah, he has a generator that literally replaces every single kube command with an alias, pretty smart alias. It's a little bit heavy when it loads initially, but it can be pretty effective. I did try it. I haven't used it extensively, but it's pretty smart idea. So maybe when people will be coming up with aliases, supporting aliases would be reasonable, because then your workflow with CUI would not be any different from the workflow you have in the CLI normally.
Got it. I think I'll double check, but we definitely put some fixes in 8.9 for aliases. I'll double check to see whether that works. We also have a built-in K, so that's sort of built into GUI, so you can type K apply, but this is all great feedback. So let me double check about aliases, because we definitely should support those.
Right, I'm on 8.7.6, and I was actually thinking about upgrading to 8.10. So if that works over there, I'll definitely let you know if it works there.
Okay, I'll also double check them now.
Okay, cool, thanks. Does anyone else have any questions for CUI or a status report that they want to share with the group? Okay, hearing none. With that, I think I'm going to give you back a couple more minutes to crush some more PRs before the code freeze. Thank you very much. Stay safe, and see you next week for the blocker bug scrub. Bye all.
Thanks, Maciej.
Bye.